Hey yo, salute to all my subscribers. Special shout out to everybody else passing through. YouTube, what's good? Hey yo, check this out. I'm a little bit late, right? But I did this shit on purpose. And I don't care about the views necessarily on this one, because the people who are going to see it are going to see it. And the people who are going to understand where I'm coming from, they're going to understand it because they're real, right? So we talking about the What's Free Hove verse on a Meek Mill Championships album. Hold on. So I was coming across, this is the reason why I waited to do this blog, right? I watched a few of the breakdown verses of the breakdown videos about the verse. You got a lot of people saying verse of the year. You got a lot of people saying, even if it's not, yo, listen to the fucking shit that this nigga was talking about on this verse. And I watched one video where finally I was like, okay, I can't sit back no more. It's time for me to give my opinion on this shit. I just watched this one breakdown video where dude was really talking about, he was trying to draw a comparison between, he was like, there's a few jewels in the verse, there's a few positives, and then there's a few negatives. But he was drawing as a negative the parts of the verse where it sounds like Hove was being typical, you know, flashy, bravado talking, you know what I'm saying, I think he used the word braggadocious. That was his opinion. This part totally went over his head. It's not just the fact that Hove was talking about the difference between us being free slaves and what's free, nothing's free, right? And all of the shit that he's been able to do within that system and that construct, that way of thinking, that all of us, for the most part, if you're black and Hispanic, that we're trapped in some way, shape, or form, and showing you that light at the end of the tunnel if you do the right things to get out of that. But the dude was seeing the parts where he was talking about what he has as him being braggadocious. Nah, he's playing directly off of the verse. The parts in the verse where, so he starts off the verse by saying, 3/5 of a man is the phrase, right? For all of y'all who are even a little bit educated, y'all know the 3/5 compromise. When we were, my hands aren't free right now, but I'm gonna put it in quotes. When we were quote unquote freed from slavery, the compromise was, you motherfuckers can be free, but don't think y'all motherfuckers are equal. So we were only considered 3/5 of a human being. Y'all know what the fuck that shit means? That shit means that essentially we were cattle. That's what we were. We were no more important than fucking horses and cows and pigs and shit on a farm. That's essentially what it is. 3/5 of a human being. Essentially, okay, we're going to take the chains off, but y'all motherfuckers are cattle. So he starts the verse off with that and then goes into everything else. He talks about the stakes that he owned and Duce, the stakes that he owned, and Ace of Spades, the stakes that he owned, the title being his. He talks about that and being able to accomplish that shit in a crazy system that would see us all fail, right? And the dude who was talking about, oh, he's being braggadocious, you heard him talking about his stakes in these companies immediately after talking about the 3/5 compromise, us being 3/5 of a human being. You heard all of that after that and thought, oh, he's being braggadocious. And you, what? This shit don't make no fucking sense. Then we're going to take it to the next level. So then he was talking about later in the verse, you know, our neighborhoods, our projects, y'all came in and took our sense of pride, gentrified it, put us out. And the dude was like, and this is really the one video reaction I'm criticizing. I don't remember the dude's channel, but this is the one I guess reaction video. I'm sure I could find more if I look out there, but he was really criticizing that, like, why would you call the projects your sense of pride? For those who don't know, and I don't remember exactly, I know around the time period, but initially, in the very, very beginning, the housing projects, low-income housing, it was a project. But initially, it wasn't initially started to house black people, to segregate black people from those affluent neighborhoods. Initially, the project was started after, I believe, World War II, as a way for soldiers coming back home to be able to afford, to have a place to live, get back on their feet, and then move on. But shortly after the crack epidemic hit, what happened was, it was a light bulb. And the government, the system, however you want to put it, said, oh, you know what? We got all these black and Hispanic men now in prison behind these new crazy-ass drug laws. We got them away for 10, 15, 20 years, some of them life, never coming home. What are we going to do with all these black and Hispanic women? Oh, let's put them in these low-income housings so we can keep the men who finally do come home, if they ever do, we can keep them on parole and probation. We can keep them on paper so they can't get a job anyway to take care of their families. And then we take their women who had their children, who are now single-parent mothers, we can put them in the system and keep them trapped in another way. Let's make it income-based. So the second they try to get a second job, the second they try to go back to school to better themselves, they no longer qualify, so we kick them off the program so they can no longer get WIC. They can no longer get food stamps. They can no longer get affordable housing. And that's how we keep the women in the community down. We keep the men down. They already fucked. We already got them on paper for life. Now we keep the women below a certain income, and we got it. Now let's build, because if you look, every single inner city in America, the outskirts, affluent neighborhoods. So let's draw a thin line separated by zip codes between the inner cities, the low income, the poverty stricken, the crime riddled neighborhoods. Let's draw the silver line right around those neighborhoods and put the big houses, the nice schools, close enough for these motherfuckers to see it, even though we're gonna design this shit so they can never attain it, right? That's why if you go back far enough, and it's probably still done now, probably just not as much, but these credit card companies, when you try to apply for different loans, these financial institutions used to literally check zip codes. And if you lived in a certain zip code, that was their cue, that was their confirmation to not give you credit, because now they know what neighborhood you live in. So now they know you're probably black or Hispanic. At the very least, your income, you know what I'm saying? That's their excuse to say your income probably don't, you know what I'm saying, match up to us extending a loan to you. So if you can't extend a loan, how can these people start businesses? How can these people go to school? How can these people get up out of these situations? They can't. So you damn near either had to dribble a ball, rap metaphors, or sell drugs to get up out that situation. And that's what Jay-Z meant when he was, because the dude also mentioned how he talked about the song with the verse that him and Siegel did, where he was like, whether we dribble out this motherfucker, rap metaphors, or riddle out this motherfucker, work second floors, I spittle out this motherfucker, somehow we gonna get up out this motherfucker. That's what he was. See, yeah, this is why I've been fighting for so long, for niggas to realize that Jay's lyrics have always been on a different level, even though he was never given the credit for being a lyricist. That's what that nigga was talking about. This shit was, when y'all could say, you know, because there's people out there who really don't fuck with Hov, and that's fine, I get it. I don't have a problem with that. But if you really go back and break down all the verses, all the bars over the years, yo, there was always a double on, don't ask me how, but there was always a double entendre somewhere in there. The shit that he was talking about, he said, he's been saying it for years, yo, I've been sprinkling this shit in my lyrics since Reasonable Doubt. Y'all just ain't been listening. See, now we smartening up. Now everybody's listening. You know what I'm saying? This is the good that Trump being in office has done. Now we're all finally really waking up and seeing what's going on. There's a few of us who have always been conscious and who have always known. Even those, among us, I graduated high school, I went to college, but even those of us who didn't, those of us who don't have that higher education, still understood. Because this is a simple fact, and I'm only going to say it once, I'm not going to repeat it. Those who are real will understand, because real recognize real. It is, hold on. It is as hard or harder, and just as important to progression. Pay attention. It's just as hard or harder and as important to progression. If you graduate from the inner city, what we call the hood, the real hood, not the rap hood, the hood, it's as important or more important and equally as hard or harder to graduate from the streets as it is to graduate from MIT or Yale or Harvard. The realists who hear this will understand what I'm talking about. This is real life shit, real life situations. And all of what I'm saying is incorporated somehow, some way, some shape or form in that verse. All of it. That's why niggas are saying, those of us who are saying verse of the year, at least the contender for verse of the year, that's why. Because of all the real shit he was talking in that song. So when he says, to finally go back, because I had to break this shit down for the dude who thought he was saying sense of pride, as in we love being in these fucking high-rise, essentially built like prisons, these high-rise fucking cells stacked top to bottom, side by side. He wasn't saying we have pride in this, we love being here, y'all taking it from us. No, what he's saying is y'all created this project, redistributed the reason for this project, and found a way to recommit this shit for us as a way to keep our single mothers who are raising our children while we're in prison, while we're on probation, while we're on parole, while we can't get a job. Y'all did this shit to separate us, to keep us down. And once y'all seen that shit didn't work, now y'all want to put us out. Now y'all see that we are finally making it out, making the money, starting the businesses that we need to be able to buy back these projects and make them our own and turn our own cities around, our own hoods around, our own blocks around. Y'all want to come in and do it first before we get a chance to. That's what he's talking about. Because a sense of pride in where you come from and the fact that you were able to make it out despite the fact that it was designed for you not to make it out, that's where the pride comes from, bro. It's not, oh, we like being in these hoods. We like living in these dirty conditions. We like being in these situations where we got to worry about the cops running through and fucking with us sometimes for no fucking reason. These are the things he's talking about in the verse, bro. That's why with this shit, you don't even have to break it down. I appreciate that people are doing it, but you don't need to. And Hove didn't really dumb down the verse. We are smart enough to understand exactly what he's saying. It's a whole different day now for us. So when I hear people doing a what's free whole verse breakdown, get the shit right or don't do it at all. Because there's a day and night, good versus evil, Dr. Jekyll, Miss Hyde, dualism and dynamic that's going on with this verse. It's not on the surface what y'all think it is. There are mad layers to this shit, and most people understand it. It's just I'm seeing a few videos out here where they're trying to break it down and they're not getting this shit right. It's some of the most important pieces to this shit that y'all are missing. Yo, this shit crazy. I'll end with this. And the nigga was like, the shit that y'all discarded, we ingested. Talking about the pig intestines, fucking chicken gizzards, and fucking chitlins, and fucking all of the shit that y'all know black people eat that we call soul food. Y'all know where that shit came from? That shit came from slavery. That shit came from slave masters eating the best parts of the animals and then the scraps that you would throw away, the scraps that are not really meant to be ingested. That's the shit they gave to us. The pride comes from the fact that we took those scraps, those parts that are meant to be thrown the fuck away, discarded, And because we had no choice but to ingest that shit, we did it. Not only did we do it, but we turned that shit into a whole fucking menu of food called soul food for our people, because that was how we had to survive. But we understand where the shit came from. We understand that that's not the way the shit was supposed to be. But it's a testament to the fact that we as a culture of people, no matter what you give us, no matter what shit you give us, we are resilient enough to take that shit and turn it into a way for us to survive and thrive. That's what he was talking about. I don't know why the people who don't understand it don't understand it. That shit crazy. That shit is on a whole different fucking level. And, you know, it also ties in with the whole neighborhoods thing, the sense of pride. It ties in with the businesses and him talking about all the accolades. It all ties in because it's the same way that we were left in the inner cities and forgotten, with schools that didn't have proper funding and youth centers that did not exist until the drug dealers started to build. Because the same way they discarded food that we had to ingest, that we weren't supposed to, that wasn't healthy for us to do that. And it's no wonder why black people now have high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and they want to call this shit, they want to call it hereditary. They want to say it's you know what I'm saying, it's all in the genes. Yeah, because for hundreds of fucking years, we've been ingesting the shit. Our people have been ingesting shit that was meant to be fucking discarded. You see what I'm saying? Like, eating pig intestines. You know what the fuck that shit is? And it's the same way that we were left in the inner cities, left in these housing projects, left in prison to rot. We were discarded. And now we're finding our way up out that type of shit, because we live in a day and age now where you can't keep those same people down. You can't. And that's what he's talking about. And that's why this shit is, in my opinion, verse of the year. And that's why, in my opinion, this nigga been doing this shit since Reasonable Doubt. Niggas just ain't been checking for it. But now it's cool to be conscious. Now it's cool to be on your businessman shit. Now it's cool to not be on that drug dealer shit. And he's even saying, look, I did this. He's been saying it for years. Like, I told you, sell drugs. I didn't tell you sell drugs, nigga. Hove did that. So hopefully y'all won't have to go through that. He's been saying this shit for years, bro. And he hasn't been doing it as a way to glorify it. He's been doing it as a way to say, look, I did this shit, and the people who came up with me and people who came up during that time period did this shit because we felt we had no way out. That's how we did it. But these are the pitfalls to that shit. And this ain't for everybody. And we did it so that we can create businesses to give jobs back to people, so hopefully they don't have to. And it's just that simple, yo. It's really nothing else I can think to. I mean, this verse literally takes you on a fucking roller coaster ride through the past 50 years. And it's, well, it starts during slavery, right? That's where it starts. And then takes you from the 60s to now, with everything from where it started, and then after that, what happened during the most important period of progression for our people, the civil rights movement till now. This shit is it's a history lesson. It's a history lesson. And this shit's fucking fire. So, if y'all gonna continue to break down the bars, break down the lyrics, break down this What's Free verse, listen to the song a few times. Listen to the verse a few times. Because really, they all talking that shit. Ross, Meek, they all talking that shit. Listen to the whole song a few times and really understand what's being said. Rewind, find is more defined, because there's shit inside of the bars and there's bars inside of the bars. If you pay attention to it, you'll understand exactly what is being said. And this nigga been doing this shit for years. Yo, like, comment, and subscribe. Please subscribe, because we do this type of shit on this channel consistently. So like, comment, and subscribe. I don't pretend to know everything. For the trolls who are going to comment and weigh in and be like, yo, fuck this, fuck that, fuck Hove. It's cool. I'm here for the trolls, right? But everybody else, all my real ones, I salute to y'all for stopping by. I salute to y'all for paying attention. I salute to y'all for recognizing real, because only the real can do that. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace and love.